Welcome to Hacking Music. I'm your host, John Pisciotta. The goal of this podcast is to break off a piece of the hacking music training we use and train artists in every day to master the best of what other headliner artists have already figured out so that you can unlock your potential. Additionally, we interview world-class artists and entrepreneurs, doers and thinkers so that you can better analyze your problems, seize your opportunities, and master your decision-making and execution. Every episode is packed with training, lessons, and force multipliers that never expire. And if you're listening to this, you're missing out. If you'd like members-only training and exclusive content, you can join at hacking-music.com. Check out the show notes for a link. Good morning, beautiful people. Welcome in to the monthly call-in. This is a time we set aside each month where we invite an artist or partner or an entrepreneur who is growing and really scaling and dominating their space. So most of them are well outside the dinosaur legacy music industry and succeeding in spite of it. The keyword here is thrive. So these are private conversations where we talk shop. We talk about what's working and really have a transparent conversation with our guests. If this is your first time here, Hacking Music is a training and execution platform that helps artists align and monetize their talent and ability. Our mission is not to sell you, but to serve the world by strengthening the next generation of artists and to help them connect with the people that care the most, and that is their fans. So the spirit here isn't to cheapen this and make it sound like you just flick a switch. It's about presenting the real world stuff that goes on behind the scenes. So our guest today is Finbar O'Hanlon. Finbar has seen around the corner for almost 20 years in the music space, in the technology space, and the AI space. So we're going to learn today and have a conversation about what Finbar has learned from working with Ahmet Zappa to spending time with the Van Halen brothers to working with George Lynch, from being the CTO of the streaming platform Guevara, and what he's learned from holding now right at over 15 patents, I think it is. So Finbar, welcome in, my friend. How are you doing?
John, great to see you, buddy. Yeah, it's good. It's nice 4 a.m. early here in Melbourne, Australia. But yeah, it's great to be here. And yeah, I'm looking forward to throwing potentially a different perspective on this whole thing.
Yes, man. First off, let me say thank you for getting up early. I know this is like god awful early.
An early riser anyway, so that's good
for you in Australia. So, so Finbar, kind of for those who may not know your background, give us a little context and color. Kind of how'd you get here? What's your story?
It's a complicated one. It's think of a jigsaw with so many different pieces and artifacts and puzzles. Basically, at the end, I look at myself as a fantastic introvert and a fantastic extrovert, but I'm really bad at being in the middle. I'm someone who loves solving problems, and I got my first guitar at age 9, and that was it. I didn't go to school. I just become obsessed. Probably these days I'd be diagnosed with some sort of disease, but I was just obsessed with music. Probably like a lot of people that are tuning into this stream. And you know, I was so obsessed. I'd be practicing 8 hours a day. And you know, at 17, I was playing in a guitar store. I was ripping. And a producer, David Courtney from the UK, saw me and he asked me to fly to Melbourne and do a session with Fred Curry from Cinderella and some other guys. And I did this guitar thing and played this solo, and then it all then exploded. Record labels put me into a band, and then we started charting and touring, and that was my life for a long time. And then I became the worldwide endorsee for a company called Jackson Guitars and Mesa Boogie. So I used to fly around, do the NAMM show, New Zealand, Singapore, Asia, just demonstrating, playing songs off my first album, which was very much crazy technical 8-finger shred guitar playing stuff. But this is way back in those days.
Yeah.
And then I got back to Australia and I started teaching at the Conservatorium, jazz harmony and fundamentals. It's called Instrumental Major. And really from there on, I just got so interested in the early days of computer music. So I got so into it, I ended up working for Avid, which was DigiDesign, really DigiDesign back then. And I ran a big training facility. We used to teach people 3D with Cinema 4D. I was a Pro Tools authorized reseller and training organization. And so I'd do all this stuff, Media 100, video, and I got into all this immersive media. And then I decided, training people is it's just not my bag. So I ended up building software. I learned to build software, I learned to code. Yeah. I built my first software and I sold it to a company called Nortel Networks. And I realized, hey, this is a pretty good gig. I can get paid really a lot of money for building. And I built really early video distribution system for banking in Australia. And long story short, my whole life has been this intersection between technology, inventing things, seeing problems behind the problems, and putting them together. And with my music, like my music, I do, you mentioned some of the people I've worked with, I do albums where I hide codes inside the music. And so I'll write the words to the song and then the words become Morse code and the rhythm guitar is playing the words in Morse code on the track and doing all these I just do all these weird things. But for me, it's really interesting. So I've always been this just crazy person that likes in making things up. And my journey's it's been great. I've traveled the world. I've raised lots of capital. I sold one of my inventions to the Australian Stock Exchange, which is now listed as a listed company. Right. We did that exit at about 180 million. So I've done quite well out of that. And today, like now I'm, I'll talk about it a bit later, but I'm an acting CEO of a data science company in Australia. I run training for some of the biggest organizations in Australia around AI and data science. Yep. But I'm also trained specialist in human capability standards and what's called soft skills. So I'm going to talk about all that stuff today. So it's really hard for me to explain what I do and my backstory, but it's always been at this intersection between being human first, creativity, music, art, and technology.
That's good. Let me ask, before you've got some slides that we're going to talk through in a little bit, but
I got a bunch of slides because it's, I'm trying to throw a completely different lens on this whole thing.
Awesome. Can't wait for that. Let me ask you a couple clarifying questions, Ben. So you talk about human-centered AI. Why is that a thing for you?
Okay. Well, so it's because we're in a phase right now where everyone's so excited about the potential of AI, and it's sort of a new novel technology. But to actually embrace that technology, for AI to augment the value that we create, we need to use a human-first approach. And so what we need to do is we need to build an adaptive mindset. We need to build a mindset that is not scared of it. We need to be able to understand its core parameters, but we need to understand what are the ethics? How do we put governance around it? How do we use this stuff to empower us as humans to be better humans? And the thing about human-first AI is focusing on the skills that computers don't have, the human skills. And I'm going to go through all of that. And then once you understand the human-first approach, then followed by process, strategic alignment, basically data management, all the technology stuff, that stuff comes last. And so I think everyone's so focused on the tech side, which is great, and you've got to know that. And I'm going to go through this, the literal and lateral approach, but human first is really about thinking from a human-centered design. How does this technology empower me to be more valuable?
Right.
Rather than, how can the technology, it's this whole thing where we rush towards technology and technology supposed to unlock our life and it ends up ruling our life. How do we put the human first lens on it? And there's a whole principle around that in design, human-centered design thinking. There's a lot of different thinking methodologies around that. But this is where human-centered AI or human first AI is something I'm going to be talking about today. It's sort of, without giving away my slides, it's really about how do we as humans utilize this technology to make a better world and to make our lives better as humans.
I love it. And tying into that, Finn, one of the things that we here in Nashville hear a lot is, how this is going to negatively affect the music industry, how it's going to be the end of the world and the sky is falling, just kind of that dystopian approach to this. And I know you have a very different take on it. So why do you think artists and entrepreneurs and really laymen approach it in a dystopian, like,
because they don't understand it. It's like knowledge is power.
Mhm.
When you don't understand something, then fear comes in because you don't understand it. And the first natural reaction, which I totally understand, is to go, look, this is going to transform the world. It's going to take my jobs. The thing about AI is it absolutely will take jobs. It
Mhm.
absolutely will transform the world. But there's a saying that
As the
AI
Industrial
won't.
Revolution did 130
It
years ago.
already is.
I
Yeah,
mean,
it's transforming everything. But the thing about it is, people say, "Well, AI take my job," and there's a saying going around the AI world, which is, "No, AI won't take your job. People who with AI skills will take your job."
mm,
So it's about really understanding. And look, I teach human capabilities. I understand that change is fundamentally hard to fathom because it requires work,
mm,
and work is hard. And people like to be in the security of what they know. But when a fundamental technology like this comes out, it does rattle you because you typically will go towards thinking, oh my God, I've got to learn about this stuff. I've got to learn tokenization. I've got to understand LLMs. I've got to understand foundation models, all of this stuff. It's, and I'll talk about this in my deck. AI is it's probably the first fundamental technology that's come into our lives, which doesn't require us to understand the technology.
mm.
That's a really, really, really important thing because with web, we've got to understand all this complexity. With manuals, we got a new technical device. We've got to read the manual. We've got to understand this.
Signal flow.
And a lot of people don't read the manuals and they work it out.
Yeah.
AI, in a lot of cases, English professors do a lot better than tech developers in using, standard GPT models or transformers because it's based on English language, not based on your technical prowess. So there's a few things to get at. So I think that a lot of this stuff is coming from a dystopian viewpoint because they do see one part of the viewpoint, and it's true, and it's absolutely irrefutable. But understanding what this thing can do and understanding how you might look at this can then utilize the power of this. So you think about a travel agent when the internet came out, right? And first travel booking on the internet. Oh my God, all our jobs are going to go. You can book online, and you can absolutely do that. You can go onto Amazon, and yes, you can buy on stuff. And yes, it is killing strip malls. And yes, it is killing malls. But it's also spawned off a lot of new businesses, a lot of different ways to do transact in commerce. Commerce isn't dead. Sure, there are big players, but if you're smart and you have an adaptive mindset, you might be able to see ahead of the curve and you might be able to take advantage of this. Doesn't mean that everyone's going to do that, no. But this call isn't for everyone. It's for those artists that are part of your network who are interested in looking ahead of the curve, not just sitting back and going, I'm not going to think about this.
Right.
It's putting your head in the sand. This thing isn't going away.
Right. Well, take us there, man. I know you've spent a lot of time not only becoming an expert in this, but thinking about the training here today. Go ahead and jump into
Yeah, okay, cool. Let me just share my slides. Let me find the right slide. I hope everyone doesn't mind. I've put a fair few slides here, and then we can ask questions at the end if that's cool.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Can everyone see my slide?
Artist 2.0.
Yep. All right. So for those watching the call live, for those tuning in later on, it's good afternoon. I know it's 1 p.m. Central, but it's 4 a.m. here in Melbourne. Really, today what I want to do is give you a deeper insight into AI and through the knowledge of my experience in both AI technology, human-centered design, and art. I want to try and explore AI's impact on creative arts, particularly as it applies to musicians. And so today, what I'm going to do is put forward an approach in how we might become irreplaceable in a world of AI. And I'm going to put a long list of ways that AI can be used to help artists become better artists. And at the end of this talk, I'm going to present a vision of the future, something that I probably can't guarantee, but I'm pretty sure that people watching this stream haven't even either thought of or haven't heard of before about how it might transform the world of art and music for the better. So you're going to hear a lot of different things, as well as your dystopian view. You're going to hear a utopian view on a lot of different things that AI can use right now to enhance artists' career. As John talked a little bit about, look, my name's Finbar O'Hanlon. I've got a very diverse career, from an artist, performer, entrepreneur, inventor, public speaker, C-suite board member, blah, blah, blah. And what I found is that, this intersection, or the association of all these different fragments, is one of the key skills of the future. It's called associative thinking. In the past, people have got skills and been trained in one domain, but it's the ability to synthesize things that don't typically fit together allows you to see new and interesting possibilities. And so I encourage everyone who's got lots of different hobbies, skills, or lots of different backgrounds. In the past, that might have been looked down on, but in the future thinking framework of skills and competencies, that's actually a bonus. And so what I'm hoping to also show today is that being an artist and a creative, or someone who can use creative thinking in problem solving, this is a big, big, huge skill in a world where AI or Gen AI comes into the fore. It's a bunch of different bits and pieces there, metadata things that might relate to me. I'm currently the CTO of a CEO of a data science company, and I do all sorts of weird things. You can check me out later.
Hey everybody, it's John. Just wanted to drop in here and give a special thanks to our sponsor, Artistworks. Artistworks is an execution company. They specialize in media, marketing, and monetization. Artistworks partners with brands to provide infrastructure, marketing, execution, and monetization in the rapidly changing media industry. They create products and experiences to engage your customers, drive revenue, build careers, and surpass your competitors. Check them out at artistworks.com. That is works with a W-E-R-X. ARTISTWERX.com.
Okay, so purpose. I want to help you get a grasp of AI's potential, especially through the lens of an artist. I want to help you understand a new lateral approach in thriving in a Gen AI world. And I want to help you see a vision of the future that you may not be aware of. But I want to just make sure everyone understands this talk doesn't offer a simple bullet. There's no simple solution. However, it does provide a proven approach to tackling rapid market evolutions by those brought on by Gen AI. So I'm not coming here on this talk going, here is all you need to do and job over. I'm going to be teaching you a lot of things which are proven methodologies in thriving in a world of Gen AI. So a little bit of background here. We're living through one of the biggest fundamental changes in history, right? And AI is affecting almost every industry and discipline, including art and music. And it's increasingly showcasing its potential in replacing human roles. So we can either adopt and adapt, fight it, or simply do nothing. AI is not going away. It's only going to get better and better over time. But because of the technological advancement that AI brings, the world has fundamentally changed, and it will continue to change at a rapid pace. I often say, one of my coin sayings that I say in all my speaking gigs, is that we as people have been educated into a world that no longer exists. Yep. So what do we need to do? How do we learn to thrive in this world? Who's teaching us this stuff, right? Think about the old world. It's about us doing jobs and performing these jobs and these roles. So we've been cogs in a machine. An organization has been a mechanism with top-down leadership going down to people all performing roles in silos. And that's called an organization as a mechanism. The new types of organizations are organizations as organisms, where you have team leaders in the center and rapid agile teams that move like cellular structures and adapt around solving problems. So how do we take advantages that the benefits that AI can bring? How do we as artists survive, thrive, or become irreplaceable in this world of AI? Well, I'll tell you what we have to do. We have to update our human operating system. So let's just talk about this little few different bits of information here. Recent Deloitte reports that 62% of all future jobs are based on human capability standards. Creative problem solvers, associative thinkers, and empathetic collaborators. Guess what? It's the golden age for creatives. Creatives, artists, musicians are creative problem solvers, they're associative thinkers, and they're empathetic collaborators. Okay, so our ability to succeed in this future will be increasingly based on the combination of deep, enduring human capabilities and the mindsets, coupled with the ability to utilize technology and adapt and think horizontally across domains. What that actually means is connect the dots in new and novel ways, using creativity and complex problem solving. So just want to do a little bit of a journey about how music and artists have evolved over the time. And we'll talk about it, I'll call it pre-web, which is the recording revolution. Final era, 1945 to 75, golden age of albums, LP in 1948, new standard format for albums, rock and roll, youth culture, 50s and the 60s. And this is where artists generally focused on creative, cohesive album experiences with iconic cover artwork. Okay, it included, so this period also includes cassette and CD, 75 to 95, which ushered in an era of portability and then digital transition with CD. In this era, really it was about music and branding. You know, what does our image look like? What's our music look like? But then we went to Web 1.0. This period marked the early days of the internet, where artists began to establish their online presence through simple static web pages. And in this era, artists then had to start, or then people around the artists had to think about the music creation and production, the image and branding, the website development, the online presence through personal websites and email marketing. Then we got to sort of Web 2.0, mid 2000s to late 2000s, which was really the rise of social media platforms. And it revolutionized how artists connect with fans, promote their music, and build their brand. And in this era, artists and their associated connections had to focus on music creation, production, image and branding, social media marketing, MySpace, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, keyword optimization for search engines, fan engagement through interactive platforms, targeted message based on user data, streaming platforms, video content, crowdfunding. It's a lot, right? So Web 3.0, late 2010s to present, introduction of decentralization, blockchain technology, decentralization platforms. They're driving new opportunities and new artist empowerment for direct fan engagement. And in this era, which is current, artists are focusing on all the things: music creation, production, image and branding. Now they're thinking about things like blockchain-based platforms for music distribution and royalty tracking, NFTs, decentralized streaming platforms, direct fan engagement, immersive experiences. It goes on and on. And then now we add AI on top of it. And then we get this thing of augmented AI, which is AI-assisted music composition and production, personalized music recommendation based on AI algorithms, virtual AI collaborators, real-time AI-driven performances, AI-powered fan engagement, automatic metadata tagging and cataloging, AI-optimized music licensing and placements. You know what? It's a lot. If we think about that, it blows our mind. It's like, oh my God, this just gets more and more and more and more and more complex. Right? We're thinking about all the literal things we have to do and all the people we have to connect just to survive. And we're in a world where 100,000 songs are being added to Spotify every day. Oh my God, this is so overwhelming.
Hey everybody, just wanted to drop in again and say thanks to our sponsor, the Sync Center. The Sync Center is trusted by Fortune 50 companies, filmmakers, ad executives, networks, major film and streaming studios. The Sync Center is a full-service music supervision and licensing company that has managed projects for clients including national and global brands, ad agencies, and cultural events. They specialize in getting you the music you want within the budget you have, all while keeping you legal through the whole process. You can check them out at thesyncenter.com. That's TheSyncCenter.com. Check them out.
Before I go into the two approaches, and there's a much better approach. I'm going to be showing you that today. I'm going to talk about, you've heard about the dystopia, and then go through a few really strong bullet points about how AI is going to help artists. Creative inspiration. AI can help generate novel ideas, melodies, lyrics, and artwork, providing artists with new creative possibilities in helping overcome creative blocks. Doesn't have to just create the outcome. It can create ideas. It can bounce at you when you're stuck. You can throw something you're thinking about that's not working. It can come back. It can trigger things in you. It can be like that sort of creative assistant songwriter or the person by your side. It can help with productivity uplift. AI-powered tools can automate time-consuming tasks such as audio editing, mastering, and video post-production, and it can allow artists to focus more on the creative aspects of their work. It can help in discovery. So AI algorithms can analyze things like user preferences and listening habits to provide personalized music and art recommendations, helping artists reach new audiences. It can enhance live shows. It can be used to create interactive and immersive live experiences, such as real-time visuals on the fly, adaptive lighting, and sound effects that respond to an artist's performance. It can help with monetization uplift. AI can help artists identify new revenue streams, such as creating, personalized merchandise, licensing music of venues, media, or optimizing content for different platforms. I'm going to go through something really powerful monetization uplift at the end, which I think is really novel and unique. Market insights. AI-driven data analysis, right, can provide artists with valuable insights into audience preferences, marketing trends, geolocation for touring, performance metrics, enabling to help make data-driven decisions. I ran a workshop recently for a major bank in Australia. Big corporates, super corporate, super state. Their CFO, who's running a bank, which I don't even know how much money they earn, but they're one of Australia's biggest banks. This is the CFO, the Chief Financial Officer, executive leadership team. I showed him how I could upload a 42-page annual report of a major ASX Australian Stock Exchange listed company into an AI engine. And then I asked 10 questions. Give me the top 10 indicators that this company might be threatened by another provider in the next 6 months. And it read through the report in about 3 seconds and then gave me 10 indicators of the threats to this business. I then did something through the lens of a CEO to be able to go out, if you're going on tour or writing a song, to be able to say, I'm thinking about targeting this demographic in Sweden at this time of year. What is the blah, blah, blah? What music do I do? What other articles? Where do I promote? Blah, blah, blah. AI can do all of that. From a market insight perspective, it can access thousands of documents in a RAG. We'd have to go into the technical details in seconds and give you insights that even the best manager couldn't give you. Music education. So AI-powered tools can offer personalized learning experiences, right? Real-time feedback and interactive lessons, making music education much more engaging and effective. Most importantly, this is super important because there's a lot of slides and it can sound like I'm talking a lot. But I want you to understand this. AI is the world's first transformative technology that empowers people to harness its limitless potential without being shackled to the need for deep technical understanding. Okay? You don't have to be a techno boffin to understand this stuff, right? You can democratize, you can be a junior and be assigned to go and pull insights out for a management company and pull the most incredible data super quick. You can be an artist that's looking for X, Y, and Z, discovery partners. You don't have to be a techno boffin. In the past, though, we've been educated to think that we have to go into this learning thing and learn all this stuff and retain it for us to understand it. Don't worry about it. AI is not like that. It's important you do understand some of it, but right, this is where it gets to the change in the railway tracks here, okay? Because most people, when I teach AI, I've got a number of different courses for different executives, doctors, right? So I know what I'm talking about teaching it. I'll show you a couple of slides in a minute about the literal approach and the lateral approach. So the literal approach is really about understanding strategic AI, not just the technical stuff, which is important, which is where a lot of people are focusing on, the technology, right? I could rattle off 1,000 things, but where we're moving to now is not just about the tech, it's about how do we use this to create value in the business. And to do that is about strategy. How do we create strategic alignment? What does data management look like? What does AI governance look like? What's AI ethics? What's technical competency? All this stuff Add that to the music stuff you had to learn as an artist, it's too overwhelming, right? Or we go the lateral approach, which is the way I'm going to take you today. Now, you can use both of them together, but what I'm saying is go the lateral approach first, and that's going to build the mindset where you can go and pick the literal stuff. So think about this. If you have a 1972, I don't know, Mustang, and it breaks down, before you open that hood, do you need to know every single thing about that car? No, I would argue that if I said to everyone in a room, how many people know every single thing about your car before you get in and turn it on? I'd say 5% of people would say, yeah, I know everything about that car, if that. Point is, by understanding the lateral approach, the mindset approach, you can problem solve and use the bits you need to know when you need to know it. Like if your fan belt breaks, you open the thing and you go, oh, that thing looks broken. Oh, I think I can fix that. That's the approach I want to take you to take with AI, not go and try and learn all the technical stuff. If you want to do that, that's totally fine. But even if you do learn the literal approach, you've got to go back and learn the lateral approach. I'm not sure. So the lateral approach is building a growth mindset, one that adopts lifelong learning. Learning critical and associative thinking, so important today. Emotional intelligence, creative. Now, when we're talking about creativity, I'll be talking about creativity systems and innovation and adaptability and resilience. So let's talk about, I'll just show you some slides out of one of my corporate Gen AI for Execs deck. Yeah. So we talk about the strategic alignment. These are the 6 principles. Each one of these is a discipline to itself. Core components from data acquisition, data processing. I take them through data risks and accuracy, hallucination, biasing, unlocking business value, all these different things that you've got to worry about, from business impact, training cost, customer satisfaction, turnaround time, quality of output, X, Y, Z core applications, project life cycles, governance, ethics, responsible AI, risk management, all of that. Way too complicated, right? This is what we're going to focus on today, being human. Let's talk about the human OS. If we think about this for a second, right? The human OS relates to the fundamental beliefs and behaviors that guide our interactions with the world around us, right? Just as we upgrade our phones, iOS, whatever, our computers and our smart devices a number of times a year, humans need to adapt and update their own operating system. We need to recognize that we have a conscious and subconscious. Our conscious behaviors, when they're being repeated over and over again, get turned into autonomous subconscious behaviors. This is running a program. Our mind is running a program. And some of the things running in our program don't suit the world that we're now moving into. We've got to learn to unlearn certain things. We've got to learn to reprogram our operating system and uplift our capability. Okay, so the hard fact is, you know, I mentioned this before, we don't like change. We find it hard to question our beliefs because we often, this is what our brand and our identity is wrapped up in our beliefs. We need to unlearn the behavior and knowledge that stops us from evolving and instead learn how to differentiate ourselves from machines. We need to focus on not doing what machines do. That's a path for complete disruption. If we focus on what machines don't do, that's a surefire way, at least for now, to show that we're going to thrive in a world where AI comes up. Now, there's always talk about AGI, and I won't get into it yet, but that's all in the future. That doesn't exist yet. So this is a safe bet. If we focus on doing the things machines don't do, we've got a much better chance of thriving in a world of AI. And so, look, by developing a growth mindset, not being blocked, not being instantly self-sabotaging or judging based on a previous behavior, developing a growth mindset, empathy, and adaptability, we can create a future in which we become irreplaceable. It's not just acquiring new skills. It's about fundamentally shifting our mindset that is open, curious, and resilient. And I'm going to talk about, I think in a second, I'll talk about the difference between skills and capabilities. So this is what an adaptive mindset looks like. Think about all the skills that you have right now as a musician, as a manager, as a production assistant, whatever job you're in. These are called your competencies. These are the skills and the thoughts and the beliefs that you have to perform a job task. In the future, it's moving to capabilities, and our capabilities sit on top of your competencies. So your skills don't go away, but the adaptive stuff sits on top of it. It's like a supercharger on your engine. This allows your skills to now be flexible It allows you to have a mindset of continuous learning. And here's one of the things I talk to people. When I meet an expert, I did a talk a while ago called Being an Expert at Not Being an Expert. And people think, oh, that's Finn's talking about not being an expert. It's completely not that. It's just that I teach tools to experts to help them go beyond being an expert. Because when someone's an expert, what do? They stop learning. They start defending. They start teaching. When you're an expert, though, if you can pull apart your expertise, which is the rules you've learned by, and an expert, by the way, is someone who can be measured against the rules that they know, when you can pull them apart and reorganize them through creative structures, now you go to the next level beyond being an expert. But not very many experts do that. And that's where a growth mindset comes in. And so continuous learning, a collaborative approach, not knowing everything, collaborating with people, building the resilience, openness to change, curiosity, experimentation, empathy, 360-degree thinking, creativity, and agility. And the funny thing is, as we go through our professional career, when we're starting off, we've got greater empathy, we've got greater experimentation and greater curiosity and more openness to change. And as we get much more down the path of being an expert, the openness to change starts to close in, our curiosity starts to close in. And so it's about reminding us that we need to build these skills, which are going to help our skills to be much more flexible. And why do we need to be flexible? We need to be flexible because the world is changing faster than ever before. And if we don't adapt to meet the market, the value between our knowledge and what the market wants gets wider and wider, which means that our value gets less and less. So that's the reason we need to be pliable. All right. I'm not going too fast, am I, John?
Yeah, no, this is great.
Okay. And sorry if I am going fast. I want to cover a bunch of stuff in here. So a couple of different definitions, which I think are important. Competency and capability. Competency is the underlying characteristics, skills, and knowledge to deliver outcomes to jobs. Mathematician, ballet dancer, DBA, programmer, right? They're the skills, the knowledge clustered into performing certain jobs. Capabilities, these are the new skills. They used to be called in school soft skills, never had value. The reason they never had value is no one used to be able to measure them. But now with AI, guess what? We can measure them. And now we can measure them. We're going, oh my God, these are the skills of the future. So capabilities transcend operational skills. They define dynamic skills that address rapidly changing environments. They're fundamentally strategic and inherent in everyone. We all have them. We don't have to learn them. They're actually there, right? We just have to help nurture them. Capabilities are now being measured as one of the most important attributes in thriving in a rapidly evolving world. Human versus machine. Now I'm going to talk about 10 human skills that artists are genius at, that a lot of corporate people aren't. But these are the skills that are widely touted to be the skills that are going to help you thrive in the future. I'm going to put the most important one first. And it's when I coach business people and startups and mentor all these businesses, I raised my first $10 million in my company on a product that didn't exist. My business plan was all based on hypotheticals. The reason I was able to raise that capital was I was really good at telling a story. I knew exactly the problem I was solving. I knew exactly the addressable market. I knew I could answer any question about those things, but I could tell the story in a way and change that story in a way that mattered to the person I was telling the story to. So storytelling is the ability to transform any level of communication into a story that invokes an emotional response from another human. Not a machine response, an emotional response. Our music is an emotional response. The way we perform our shows should drive emotion. Our fan engagement, everything we do in music and as an artist is about driving an emotional response. And that art of storytelling is something, and the architecture of storytelling is something that shouldn't be forgotten in that, I'm just an artist, I'm writing this song and I'm going to lock myself in a room and it's all about I'm playing this -7 flat 5 to 2-5-1 minor, blah, blah, blah in here, and I'm going to modulate to this key center. That's great. What's the story it's telling? What's the emotion? So it's that permeates everything from the way I'm trying to explain the technical delivery of AI to the way you create your music. Creativity. Creativity provides the ability to identify and solve out-of-the-box problems. Machines are great at analyzing data and coming up with solutions based on that data. However, machines can't connect the unconnected in the same way humans can. Now, let me explain this. People talk about creativity and they think it's art and music, and it is. But creativity is the process of creating solutions to problems by the reorganization of existing things. Now, let me explain that. As a musician, I play a note, I play a chord, a group of notes. It's notes put together. I play with a bass player, I play with a drummer. We've got this synthesis of different things coming together in different orders. And the problem that I'm trying to solve is I'm trying to create a song that drives emotion. So I'm trying to solve a problem by the reorganization of existing things, notes, the way drum beats work, rhythms. An artist has paints, a canvas. These are different things, organization of re-existing things. I'll put this paint here, blah, blah, blah. And if we look at it through that lens, it's creating solutions to problems by the reorganization of existing things. That happens with exactly the same with creative problem solving. And I'm going to go through an example of that in business later to show you how to do that. When we say that machines are great at analyzing and coming up with solutions based on data, but they can't connect the unconnected in the same way as humans can, I'll tell you why. Because John, I can sit in a room with John and I can be talking with him. We can be pitching a thing that we're doing to Ken, right? And we can be reading the energy of that room. We can connect on an emotional level. We can change our pitch, our storytelling on the fly based on what reactions we're getting. We can read those reactions. Now, AI can read human interfaces and can read emotions, but there's an energetic response in what we're doing in creating emotions. That emotional level, at this point in time, machines can't do that. So the way we can synthesize, like when I did my TED Talk, I walked on stage, I didn't do any prep, which was against their rules. And I told them that my design principle is I read from the audience live and I'll be changing my story live on the fly. And that was my principle. And I did it. And the concept there is that musicians and artists are really good at this stuff. This stuff is really, really hard for a lot of other people, right? And this is why we're really good at creativity. And what I'm hoping you'll read from this deck is your skills that you think are just over here as an artist actually going to play a bigger part in the future of humanity with AI. So you're actually coming into a golden age where I think your skills are actually going to be more valuable than ever before. Emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is the ability to understand and manage one's own emotions, as well as understand and empathize with the emotions, needs, and desires of others. Whilst machines can recognize emotions and respond, they can't replicate the depth of human emotions and understand the ability to connect. Now, for the uninitiated, empathy is not sympathy. Okay, it's not feeling sorry for someone. Empathy is being able to understand what someone else needs, what they want. And when you're pitching a business, when you're pitching your show, when you're trying to get a manager, when you're trying to get a record deal, when you're thinking about what does that person want? I've done research. I've seen what announcements he's made, what connections he's made. You're using empathy in your problem solving by trying to understand how to change your storytelling through a lens that's going to resonate with the person you're talking about. And in the Web 1.0 world, it was just our art and that's our art and that's it. And that's fine. And I'm totally down if that's your vibe. But to survive in a world of AI where all this other stuff can generate music and art in all different unique ways, it's the connection of how do we build our tribe? How do we build our connection? What do they want? How can I see it through their lens? How can I infuse that in my storytelling? And this is where emotional intelligence comes in. And it's also not sitting on, someone says something that offends you, like, oh, I'm so offended. Okay, why are you offended? Like, who cares? That's a belief system you have in yourself. A growth mindset would go, well, it's really interesting you think like that. So can you explain why you think like that? What evidence have you got? I'm really interested in it. You know, put the problem back on them rather than getting offended. But this is where emotional intelligence is trying to, some people don't understand what you understand. And they're saying things to boost up their ego. It's a game of chess. It allows you to sort of see the world through a different lens. I don't have all day to talk about it. So imagination, I think what I've got, I'll talk about this. Imagination is really unbound thinking. It's about the ability to come up with things that don't exist. And the reason that's important is because if everyone on this call or watches this call thinks to any product in their life that's transformed their life, anything, Apple Watch, iPod, anything, and you go and start being curious and find out where it came from, you'll find a point where it was imagination. Hey, an iPod. I want to combine like a cigarette packet lighter size product with something that'll hold 2,000 songs in my pocket with a round thing and an LED display, everyone just thought you're insane. It was imagination. There's a point then where creativity comes in to goes, I'm going to reorganize existing things, an LCD screen, a little player, a digital file, a hard drive, the reorganization of existing things to come up with a new product. The invention, so imagination doesn't exist. Creativity, reorganizing things to come up with the product or the service or whatever. Invention is when you turn that thought into a product. And innovation is when you turn that product that's new and novel into something that has realized value for someone else other than what you've bought. That's the difference, right? Adaptability. Adaptability is the ability to adjust to new situations and environments. This is about, okay, AI's coming. Woe is me, ban it, block it. Fine if you're doing that from an informed viewpoint and you understand both sides of the argument. Don't just ban it because you're in fear, right? Ban it because you've applied critical thinking and you understand the good and the bad before you start to make an informed viewpoint. Have an adaptive mindset. Communication, the ability to convey ideas to others. Machines are good at transmitting and analyzing data, but they can't convey or interpret information in the same way that humans can. If a robot fired you from your job, it would be a very unemotional thing. But someone else firing someone can take them through a process which actually softens the blow and helps them understand this could be a growing experience. There's lots of different examples of that. Intuition. Right? Intuition is the ability to make decisions based on instinct, to understand something in our gut based on without the need for conscious reasoning. AI can't do that at the moment. Morality. This is about us being able to make ethical decisions, how people can behave in a morally responsible manner. A machine can understand rules, but it can't make those critical rules based on a scenario of emotions. Motivation, sense of humor. Okay, I'll sort of give you a bit of a break because I've been sort of blasting you guys before I get into the next bit. What I'm trying to say in all these slides is that AI is good and bad, and there's both viewpoints on it. What I'm trying to showcase, I'm sure you all have heard the bad stories. What I'm trying to do is to paint it a different picture that it can also be valuable, and also paint a picture that it might be bad, but it's not going away. So we can either do nothing, we can fight it, and you can fight it if all you want, but it's not going away, or you can build an adaptive mindset. And by building an adaptive mindset, not only do you become better at understanding AI and its value, you actually become a better human. You're going to have better personal relationships with people. You're going to be able to problem solve everything in your life better. You're going to make more sense of the world. There's going to be better sense making. These human skills, we're all going to start to value them more and more the more AI intrudes into our life, because this is what we've got as people to hang on to and to really develop. And as AI takes away a lot of this load from us, the stuff that's been bearing us down, I believe in the future we'll go, oh my God, I can't believe I used to have to read reports. It's like, why don't you AI just summarize 3,000 pages of documents in a minute for me through this lens? Like, we would laugh about, oh my God, I used to have to sit and read this stuff. There are some, it's going to fun. That time that we get back allows us to work on our human skills and just be much better in the way we operate. Okay, I feel like I've been bombarding. Is everyone smashed, or are you okay for me to carry on?
No, I'm.
Any questions so far?
I've got a handful, but I'll save them till the end, Finn.
Okay. So just wanted to put this slide up here, guys. I'm what's called a subject matter expert in the Australian Human Rate Capability Standards Reference Model. So this is what I teach lots of big corporations. And the reason big corporations are learning this is for this reason, not because they want to be better. It's because big companies, their biggest cost center is hiring and firing people. You get a big airline like Qantas. When COVID comes, they don't need baggage handlers. So what do? They fire them all. These people have been trained up over 10 years. Then guess what? COVID finishes, they can't find baggage handlers. Now they've got to retrain people. It takes them 2 months, cost them a bomb. So this big cost center of hiring and firing people that used to be little cogs in a machine doing one role, now your role's not linked, I'll get rid of you. All this time that they've been with your organization, learning your organization, the ins and outs, the systems and mechanisms, it's old thinking. These skills here sit on top of your disciplines in your job and allows you to be adaptive. What it does, it means the organization doesn't have to fire you. The people don't think in silos anymore. They can adapt. So if the market changes, the organization can rally its people and have them reorganized into new roles. That is one of the, saves them so much money. This is why they're now, it's called adaptive capacity in your workforce. This is why these people are going on this. Now, in the old days when I went to school, right, I used to thrive into these, what's called soft skills. And I used to get the strap off the religious brothers because you don't need that stuff. It's not important. This is the golden age where this stuff is now becoming important. Okay. So it's backed 500,000 people in Australia have gone through this program, right? It's a legit program. There's all customer dashboards and all sorts of stuff. But I just wanted to let you know that what I'm saying to you about from an artist perspective is rooted in hardcore evidence. World Economic Forum tout exactly the same principles for future thinking skills. All right. So far I've been talking about all this crap. And it's like, it's blowing my mind. So I can only imagine what it's doing to you. Here's what I want you to do. Now that I've told you all this stuff, there's 2 key skills they can start with right now, right here, after this call. You start developing, it's going to start to develop nearly all of these skills by working on 2 skills. And the first one is critical thinking. Okay, and I'll explain that in a minute. The second one is creative thinking. And I'm going to show you how to do that in a minute. Why is critical thinking so important? Well, critical thinking is all about asking questions and evaluating all angles before making judgments or decisions. It helps you assess both the meaning and significance of claims and arguments. Now, a great way to test this, to start to build this the capability in your own mind, is think about US politics. Right? Nearly everyone I talk to is one side or the other. It's Liverpool versus Chelsea. It's the New York Jets versus blah, blah. It's like 2 teams. It's like, who's asking the questions about the policies on both sides? Who's evaluating it? Why does it have to be one team versus the other? Critical thinking is about before you make a decision, you make an informed decision, knowing both sides of the argument. And it's great because this stuff is ingrained in us so emotionally to be so part of something that we so believe in. So what critical thinking does, it's like going to the gym for your mind. By you doing this, by you practicing, and the way you practice it is when you believe something deep down, like really emotionally, and someone says something, if you want to answer within the first 3 seconds, don't answer. Ask yourself, this is your gym practice, your mind gym, your cognitive practice. Before you answer something that you know the answer to, is start to go, what's the alternate viewpoint? How can I be the defendant in the court case? How can I defend something I don't believe in? And this practice of you starting to look for evidence in things you don't believe in is really, really hard. But what it does for your mind is so amazingly powerful. What it does is it builds an adaptive mindset. It helps you understand empathy. It helps in your communication. It helps in your problem solving. It helps in creativity. And I'll explain all that in a minute. It helps understanding customer focus. Because what you're doing is by trying to evaluate an opposing viewpoint to what you believe in, you're going right against the very grain of what you believe in, which is super hard. Secondly, you have to find artifacts of evidence. So now you're using discovery process. So just the art of trying to practice. And look, I do this in the car. I'll go, I see something as I'm driving down the road, see a road sign, and I go, that road sign shouldn't be there because the snow or blah, blah, blah. And I go, right, what's the alternate viewpoint of that? Why would they do that? Or when someone does something that I think is so stupid, I go, there's got to be a reason. Why? How can I find the reason behind why they did it rather than just saying it's stupid? And it's most of the time you might find you're right. But what if you find you're wrong? Even if you find you're right or wrong, it doesn't even matter whether you're right or wrong. It's a practice to practice your mindset. Okay. Creative thinking. It's the ability to conceive new solutions to challenges by arranging existing things in new or novel ways. We talked about paints, mixing them in different ways and different canvases and different this and that, and music and playing different notes in different orders to create different harmony, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to show you a journey map using creative systems on the, I don't know who's on this call and the age of them, but back in my day, there used to be a thing called Blockbuster, a video rental store. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Now, if I map out what happens when you used to rent a movie, you used to have to rent this DVD or a VHS. And this is what would happen. This is a customer journey map of renting a video. You decide to rent a video at home. Then you drive to the store, you find parking, you browse the library, you make a selection, you rent a movie, you drive home, you watch video, you drive to store, you return video, and you drive home. That's the customer journey map. We now have the pieces of renting a movie. Now think about this. If you could map out you writing a song and performing it live, what are all the steps? You know, got an idea, ring my friend, he comes over, we jam on it, we do this, we record it on a blah, 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 we do this, we do that, we connect to someone else, they do this. You journey map this. What you now have is the pieces or the fragments that allow you to reorganize existing things, to use creativity in designing a better business process, a better artist process, a better song, because now we have the pieces, we journey mapped it. Now, if I said on the video rental model, I just want to get rid of one thing, driving to the store. Well, if I get rid of driving to the store, you know what happens? It has a knock-on effect in systems thinking, I don't need to find parking now because I'm not driving to the store. If I don't have to drive, I don't have to drive home. And then I don't have to drive back to return it. So by taking one out, it's actually taking 4 parts of that and collapsing the whole thing. Now, by doing this, it starts to give you a basis to start ideating or thinking about new inventions. When people talk about, oh, I'm going to come up with new ideas, and they sit around on a beanbag with incense, and they go, oh, I'm going to come up with new ideas. A great way to come up with new ideas is find a process that works and pull bits out of it and use that as a starting point. So now, by doing this, okay, we've got Blockbuster, Apple TV. If we remove driving to the store and find parking, it allowed us to go, well, actually, if we could turn on a smart TV and load an app, we wouldn't have to drive to a store. We still got browse library, we've still got make a selection, we still got rent a video, but now we don't have to drive. So all the driving's got it. We still watch a video, but we don't have to return it. We don't have to drive home. So by pulling things out, we can come up with a new way to invent the whole video rental market. And then again, if we say, okay, let's get rid of renting a video. Let's get rid of renting a video. Okay, turn on a smart, just load an app, yeah, browse the library. But instead of that, we pay a subscription up front. So we just change the commercial model. Instead of renting one video, we just pay a subscription. Mm-hmm. And now, so by using this method, this allows creativity to flourish because you've got parts and you can reorganize them. And the way you do that, I'll get rid of that, is a thing called Scamper. Don't worry, I'm not far from the end. This just basically means substitute, combine, adapt, modify, put to another use, eliminate. And when we go back to here, if we substitute one of those, if we reverse one, if you put them in a different order, this is just a great experimental framework of how you come up with a better touring model, a better business model, how you go a distribution pathway. You don't start by sitting down going, oh, I'm going to think about a new distribution model and going, how do I start thinking about it in macro? Break it all down, journey map it. Do a transaction journey map, a custom experience journey map, a artist journey map. Look at them. Once you've got these parts, you can apply creativity to not just your music, but to every part of your being as an artist. Let me see. I'm not far from the end and we can do questions.
Hey, Finn, can you go back to the Scamper?
Yeah, sure.
Frame for 1 sec. Substitute, combine, adapt, modify, put to another use, eliminate, reverse.
Or rearrange.
Yeah. Got it. Thanks, bro.
Okay. All right. So last thing, this is right near the end now. We're going to talk about what I think are the 10 pillars for being an artist 2.0, an artist that thrives in a world of Gen AI. And then I'm going to make some predictions about the future, which I think are quite unique and novel. And if anyone wants to co-develop them with me, I'm happy to do that. All right, 10 pillars. Authenticity, and I'll explain that in the last part. unique artist identity, again, super relevant to one of my things in the end. Storytelling, emotional connection, interactive experiences, adaptability, continuous learning, human and machine collaboration, measuring ROI and performance, and revenue diversification. I can talk to each one of these points, and I can send you some of the slides, John. If anyone wants one or two of the slides, just let me know which slides you want. I'll send them to you. So, you know, emotional connection and storytelling, it's like creating music that resonates emotionally with listeners is going to always win over Gen AI created music. It might connect emotionally, but when you can do it intentionally and you can test it, you've got a much greater chance. Unique authenticity and unique artist identity, developing a distinct artistic style, voice, and narrative that sets you apart from AI generated. And, you know, I'll talk about my prediction in a minute, because otherwise I'll be shooting myself in the foot here.
So Finn, quick question on this.
Yeah.
Tell me what we're looking at here.
Okay, so what we're looking at is what I think are the key 10 pillars of an artist that's going to be able to thrive in a world of AI. Gotcha. It's not just about your music. You know, when I did the history of music and I said, you know, Web 1.0, they had to focus on their thing, and then the record labels. Now I'm saying that really, as an artist, you need to be focused not so much about copying Coldplay or this or Keith Urban or it's country, so I've got to sound like all the country things. It's in the future, Gen AI is going to be able to do all of this stuff. So it's going to be about what's your unique voice, what's authentic to you, right? How do you build a unique artist identity? That's more than just the music. What does your identity mean? Like, how does it tell a story? What's the emotional connection? How do you set yourself apart from an AI prompt? Like, what, you know, people love to belong to tribes. What is the anthropology of tribes? You know, this continuous learning, a question like that goes into continuous learning. And that might sound technical for people on the call, but anthropology is the study of people, right? So if we said, why do people belong to tribes? From the earliest tribes, and I believe that Gen AI is going to start to create tribes, human tribes again. We lost tribes. We used to be part of death metal, roller skaters. We used to be all sorts of different tribes, model collectors, train aficionados, bird watchers. Yeah. And it all got sucked into this social media platform where everyone was everything. And as we get more human, we're going to now gravitate towards humans that think and act and want to be like us. So it's that, what is our tribe? Who is our tribe? What is our story tell? What's our unique artist identity? How does it relate to that tribe? How do we tell the story? What's the emotional connection? How do we build interactive experiences? And so these to me are just pillars that we need to, and again, if I've been rabbiting on for a while now, I've got some courses which we can do with Jetpack. We could actually go in and do a proper Gen AI for Artists course, which is the technical stuff, literal. We can do more work on this. But yeah, I'm just trying to give you a snapshot of this. We could go into a whole workshop on this.
Yeah, like we could do 5 days on storytelling.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that go deep in storytelling.
Exactly. And it's probably critical in everything.
Right. It touches everything.
Yeah. Okay. Let me just give you some predictions on the future now, which of all my knowledge and working in all this stuff, and I'm currently up to date with everything at the moment. Who's heard of the second brain? The concept of a second brain. Okay, cool. So AI and AI agents are going to become second brains. Okay. So a person will be able to, like, I'm building currently a doctor's practice for a doctor where the doctor has a second brain, and customers can subscribe to the doctor for $10 a month and ask him any question they want to their personal doctor. And their personal doctor's second brain is going to answer all those questions without the doctor doing a thing. Right, it's going to take the load off them, and then the
based on the doctor's body of
based on the doctor's own information. Yeah,
gotcha.
So it becomes the second brain of the doctor. It takes away a whole heap of load off the doctor, creates revenue like crazy. He's got an avatar, blah blah blah. What a second brain! You probably can't even read all this, but I'm happy to share this slide with you. These are all different things that a second brain for an artist can do. And I've got, I don't know, 30 or something there. Analyze an artist's existing body of work, influences and preferences to generate new ideas and suggestions. Provide inspiration by exploring and combining various musical genres and cultural influences. All of this stuff. And the way it works is you can go and put everything you've ever learned that you can think of, all your documents, audio recordings, lessons, everything, and get your AI to ingest all of it and sense make the whole thing of everything you've got on your whole career in music, your songs. It can create styles, it can do all sorts of things.
Yeah.
And you can have that as your musical second brain. Then you can have your business second brain. You can have your manager's second brain. You can have your health second brain. You can actually, and these are called AI agents, and you can interact with them when you want to start to go, right, second brain, kick on. We got to do some work here, right? I can't remember everything I've done in the past. And it goes, yeah, remember you did this? And you go, oh yeah, that's right. This is where AI is going to be so powerful in AI agents. It's not widely talked about yet, but the power of this second brain principle, which has been used in business for organization, is going to be accelerated through AI to become agents. And you will be able to have your own team around you, entourage of second brains. And you could have one specifically, or you could have one that does everything, but they can work together. So agents can talk to agents too. So I believe in the future, we're going to have, instead of like an entourage of people, we're going to have an entourage of second brains. And we'll be able to transact without us being in the transaction and making money by our second brains doing music lessons, doing deals, doing all sorts of different things, purely because it's trained on our unique sets of data. And in a decentralized world and an AI world where our data is now taken more back to the intimate things we know about ourselves, that's all protected, this is where we're going to start to see some incredible value. And this one, which I think is the big money spinner, which again, no one's talked about. I'm currently looking at patenting it, but John, we could potentially talk about this.
Yeah, sure.
Is that currently the mindset of the world in terms of the value of content is music files. Okay, labels own all these music and all these libraries, and now it's commoditized to the point it's all streamed on the platform. Hardly anyone buys anything anymore, even to the fact that TikTok don't sign the Universal deal, and they're all looking at Gen AI created music because they don't care about old catalogs. They care just about new music. So, it's in this downward spiral of where can we re-monetize content? So there is a new technology coming out called style transfer, right? And what style transfer is the ability for AI to generate music in the style of Coldplay, in the style of Metallica, in the style of blah, blah, blah. And so what it can do is analyze music and then create a style library. And that style library can now be a brand new form of licensing. Whereas when generative AI says, okay, build me a soundtrack that sounds like Coldplay on the moon, the word Coldplay would trigger a transaction between the artist who owns their own style transfer. And that style transfer would allow the Gen AI to create it in their sound. What this will do, it's going to change the whole music industry and the value of art, whereby musicians are going to want to be unique, not sound the same. Because sounding the same, you won't be able to build your own style transfer. It's going to mean that artists are going to focusing on how do we create a sound that's unique, that could attach a style transfer. Because if you sound just like Metallica, the algorithm won't allow you to create a style transfer. You've got to be different enough for style transfer to be applied to your band. So I think it's going to have really powerful implications for the whole music landscape, whereby people will aspire to be unique and different and tell different stories, rather than be all the same and all sounding like, Tiesto 1 minute, or Keith Urban the next minute, or Taylor Swift the next minute. Everyone jumps on the same bandwagon, hoping that someone's going to, because they like that one on the Spotify stream, they're going to finally get heard and make 0.6 of a cent. This is money where if you develop your style and you build your style transfer, you are asleep and people are just saying, I want to build this, and a transaction happens. And I can guarantee you that if the PROs of the world don't yet understand it, right, there's a whole concept for a brand new rights body to come up and own the style transfer rights, because it's completely transparent. It's on a transaction by transaction basis. You can value a transaction on a per play, on an ownership of for life ownership. And it's going to allow this world of Gen AI where the TikToks of the world, the people who want to just play things in a certain style, I believe it's going to generate a brand new world whereby art is going to come back to the fore, whereby unique storytelling is going to come back to the fore, where essence of style is now going to be more important than sounding like everyone else. I think it's going to be a fundamental change for the music industry. I think it's going to be a good thing. I think those underserved bands that are really doing it for the art are now going to be rewarded.
Interesting. So it's really built for originality.
100% for originality. So guys, I've smashed you. It's 4 a.m. my time. It's now 5. It's an hour and 20. I've probably smashed your brains. I had a lot to cover. What I was trying to do is portray that it's not all doom and gloom. If you can learn to be adaptive, there's a lot of good there. The ones that will make the most out of this world are the ones that have an adaptive mindset, that will listen to things like this, be inspired, go and do a little bit of learning. Now, before I talked about the literal stuff and all the different things you need to learn, if you build an adaptive mindset and a curious mindset, it's not so overwhelming now. You can learn it when you need to, but your mindset is more open. You'll collaborate better. You'll come up with new works. And in my view, you'll become better artists. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Ben, that was great. Excellent stuff, my friend. So any questions for Finbar? I know we talked about a lot of stuff here, and this is every time Finn and I get together, I feel like my bar is raised because I'm drinking from the fire hose, just trying to keep up with Finn. So Finn, thank you for.
Yeah, look, guys, I know I put a lot of info in there. If only 1 or 2 slides resonated, it's a start of an exciting journey. I want you to walk away going, that guy blew my mind. There's too much info in there, but there is some real positives here and I can do something about it.
Yeah. Finn, I've got a question for you. How would you approach the conversation with the copyright body, say somebody who represents Garth Brooks' catalog, publishing and masters? How do they, because there's a legacy, there's a body of work there that's well established. How do they get excited rather than defensive?
Okay, so we talked about empathy before, we talked about design thinking. So the way I would approach that is I would approach them going, how many people are coming to you right now with a new method to make a ton of new money that's never existed before? Just tell me how many people you've got coming across your table.
Very few.
And I would just wait until they go, I don't have any. I go, cool. Well, I've got one for you. Guess what? Now I'm in the art of storytelling. I've got one for you. I've got something so new that it builds incremental revenue that you've never had before. And I would argue it doesn't threaten your catalog, or if it does, it threatens it in such a minimal aspect at the moment, or it does it in a way that is completely impossible to measure. And it does it in a way that if you don't do this, it's going to affect it anyway. So it's not changing anything. Right. What it's doing is it's tapping you into a brand new revenue stream. Are you interested in hearing that? So that's the way I'd frame it. I wouldn't even talk about what it is. I'd be talking about the value it creates. And I would make them understand that there's no one else coming to them with a brand new solution that might make them brand new money off their entire catalog. And what I would say is we've got a brand new licensing model, which we could apply to companies like TikTok. And the reason I would say TikTok is because the recent fight with Universal Music.
Sure.
I go, both of them are trying to hold their own, and guess who's going to win? TikTok's going to win, right? So they don't care about Fleetwood Mac and the old catalog, the stuff that's really valuable to Universal. They care about this new music and pumping this new music, and they can just do that via generative AI. Why do they need to license all your content? So I would come at it like that, like this is an opportunity for new money, not here's a new technology or a new way to do something. Right. Because as soon as you say a new way to do something, they're going to get on the defensive about, no, we've got to protect our fort. But when you go, how many people are coming to you with brand new ways to make money? And they go, none, because there's none. And you go, well, I've got one. And here's what we're doing about it. We're not coming to you saying, here's a concept. We're actually building it. So it's about having it in place and you're going, do you want to be part of it? Because if you don't, we're just going to go to some other people. It's up to you. So that's the way I would approach that.
Mm-hmm.
And John, what I just talked about then was empathy. It's that storytelling. It's about thinking through their lens. What's valuable to them, not what's valuable to us. I don't want to go and sell you something that I think is really valuable. I've now got to retell the story through your lens where it's valuable to you.
This is great. this will be in our dashboards here in the next 48 hours. So you can look for it there. Finbar, I just want to say thank you, man. I love spending time with you. I love how you think. I love how you make things better. So, Finbar, thank you.
Thank you, guys. I just want to say, John, I love your organization. I love what you do, and I love working with you.
Oh, thanks, Finn. We will continue to do what we do.
Yeah, cool.
Awesome.
All right, guys. Nice to meet you guys. And Ken, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Talk soon.